Let's try and understand. Suppose there was a child that wouldn't play at all. What would that do to his development? He wouldn't grow up. Why? No, but not my games. Because I played the games I played because these are the games that I had. And it was also not simple to get them. Table tennis, good bicycle, things like that back then. So I'm saying, suppose, hypothetically speaking, a child wouldn't have any games. His development would be flawed. No, he'd take a shoebox and make a game out of it. So it's a natural urge in us to play, yes. So the playing itself, it's something that has to be in order for us to develop? Yes. Why? You're saying that he'd invent games for himself. Why is it defined so by nature that in order to grow, you have to play? In a game, a child imagines that he's more grown up, successful, operating. In a game, a child builds a world for himself, an environment. Suppose you play table tennis. What is it about it that develops you? It develops physically, and also by that, I got to know many children. I had a good backyard, and children came from far away, and this way I got to know many children. Okay, so that's another thing that I get to know many children. But suppose you were to play just with one partner, the game itself, what is it about it that develops? We have to all the time be in competition in something that draws us to develop. Why? Because otherwise we don't develop. If there's a program inside an animal that develops the animal itself, then a person, he won't develop. He'll remain as an animal. He has to constantly develop himself, stimulate himself. Competition only with someone else? What happens if you build a puzzle yourself? With myself doesn't matter because I'm also in competition with myself. Myself and my winning self, benefiting self. So without competition there's no development? Of course not. There are 2 degrees to development. I always have to develop 2 degrees, the current degree and the next one. So I as if play against my current self in being more successful. Meaning, suppose in my backyard I had this springboard and also this kind of rope where I jump the high jump and the long jump, and I competed against myself. Okay, let's make another differentiation. We understand that what develops is the competition, not necessarily against someone else, but also against yourself, where you play against your more advanced self. Okay, it's easier to see it on children, but I think that it also applies to grown-ups. When a child plays, he's in the game. When the game's over, he feels sorrow. When you have to stop playing and go back, he's sad about it. Let's try and discern what is it about the world of play and the normal world. What's so fun about playing and going back to your day-to-day life, which isn't fun? To go back to life, it's like going back to being like an animal. That you live and that's it. And to play, it's to grow up all the time. There's a spirit of liveliness there. And a child feels it? Of course he does. It propels him. He needs development. If you want to take a child out of a game, it's sometimes very hard. You have to call him for hours. He could have a high fever, pays no attention. For him, the main thing is that he's playing. That's exactly it, the experience. That's what I want to understand. What is it about that experience where he forgets about himself, time, fever, everything? He's not hungry. The urge to develop, this is what necessitates him. My child, he has fever, he plays, he stopped he stops playing, he goes back to being sick. And it's not make-believe, really. His body really, everything aches. I don't know. Suddenly, he can play something as if it's a completely different person. He can play there, I don't know, until I take him from there, and then he returns to be sick like he was before. What are these transitions? What's that magic? The force of vitality, of development. It's really interesting how much it works in children. We're not that way. But there are such people that the competitive force or the force to achieve something is burning in them, and they also behave that way. Okay, so children, they constantly aspire to play. That's called the spirit of life. Okay, so I understand that you have competition and development there, that you're constantly growing. Of course, without that, a person, he dies. Okay, now let's talk about grown-ups. Why is it that when kids are kids, they all the time want to play? This I understand, and I also see it on my four children. Why I, as an adult, where does it disappear from our life? The world of play. Your problem is that you shifted from taking care of yourself and growing up to becoming dead. You see different images that flash before your eyes on television, and that's called that you're playing, but it's not you, because by that you don't change, by that you don't gain anything, but you simply shifted your entire active development to some kind of passive watching, and instead of being a soccer player, you became a soccer fan. And what do you have as a result? Now that you've explained it, this thought crossed my mind that we as adults, many times we exchange the form of our development from play to studying. We study, we learn. What happens there? Learning isn't that fun like playing. They're both supposed to develop us. It's not learning. When I go and play soccer or watch a game, I'm not a player. It doesn't develop me. I only warm myself up by two opposite forces that explode in me and are in competition. That's it. And it seems to me that I'm alive. What kind of liveliness is that? Completely imaginary. There's no development in my degree and my level of development before the game and after it. But there's action. There's action, okay. So that means that I feel that I'm alive. But actually, it's not life. Life, it means that you elevate yourself to a higher degree. What degree do you have here?